Hey everyone, welcome to my channel on UI/UX design. Today we're gonna be analyzing an online store. So at first glance, it feels clean, modern, and visually appealing. The photos are high quality, the colors feel warm, and overall the layout makes a great first impression. Alright, let's go back to the top and walk through it step by step. Overall, I like this big photo, but I'm not a fan of how the guy's head is cut off. It just feels a bit awkward and unbalanced, and that hand right in the middle grabs all the attention. As we all know, the first thing people notice on websites is the visual elements, like photos or graphic elements. From this perspective, this website has done a good job. A man with half his head missing is sure to attract attention. Sorry, man. But seriously, when you are using a photo in a hero section, the image should feel intentional and polished. What's more, the man is wearing a hat that is probably sold in this store, but here they cut off half of the picture with the hat. Apparently they don't really want to sell hats here. It's better to zoom out on this shot or use another one. Another thing that feels totally out of place is the glowing rhombus across the photo. It doesn't add meaning or help tell the story, just ruins the impression of the shot of this young, attractive and stylish couple. By the way, I haven't seen this element anywhere else on the page. Nope, nowhere. Which means we can safely remove this element without compromising the design. In a clean modern layout like this, every element should have a clear purpose. The rhombus just doesn't make sense here. Always remember that you're designing for the end user, not for other designers. So here we can find the call to actions. I think the headline and the shop buttons don't stand out enough. I mean, the text blends into the background a little too much, and the placement makes them easy to miss. On a hero section, the CTAs are the most important part. They should grab your attention right away and guide you on what to do next. Here they kind of fade into the background, and that means users might scroll past without even noticing them. It would be better to add a dark or a light background for better visibility, or place it somewhere in a more visible place. The H1 isn't really working for SEO. It says "off race, born from our roots in cycling, suited for wherever life takes you." It sounds nice from a branding perspective, but search engines don't really know what it means. It's vague and doesn't include any keywords that people might actually be searching for. We can use something like cycling apparel in the text, because this website mostly sells clothes for cycling. This block looks good. The layout feels clean and consistent. The product cards are easy to scan, and the use of white space around each item makes it look premium. Navigation is in the right place and also works well. The image changes on hover and the clothing size appear, which is also good. The user is not overwhelmed with information about the product, just the name and price. The only thing that feels off is the carousel indicator under the products. It's so dark that it blends into the background instead of giving users a clear visual cue about where they are in the carousel. It may be completely invisible on the darker screens, so it would be better to go with white or some light color for this. The categories. These categories don't really feel like they belong to the same design as the rest of the site. They look way smaller compared to other elements. If these categories were bigger and styled more consistently, like with proper cards or tiles, they would stand out more and feel like a natural part of the overall design system. The collections look nice. The layout is good, like in the previous block. So here's the thing with the collections block. It works like a carousel, just like this one. You can scroll through items the same way. But the problem is, it doesn't actually look like it works the same way. This carousel has an indicator, but this one doesn't. Why? If they both work the same way. I think if they place a carousel indicator here, this block wouldn't fit into a screen and users would have to scroll up and down the page constantly to scroll through the carousel. Lucky are those who have a touchpad or big screens. Okay, let's pretend all people have a touchpad for scrolling. And this block has the potential to get a better design. I don't really understand what this block is about. I mean, what should I find out from this block? There is a big blurry picture in the background and the same smaller picture in the front with the overlapping text. And this text has a horrible contrast. Not every word is clearly visible. The carousel indicator is fading on some slides. This is a clear example of when a designer thought about the design in the first place and not about the users. And look at this arrow. It's supposed to lead users to another page, but this arrow is hard to notice. Bad contrast. Really bad contrast. I feel sorry for the designer or designers who spend time creating the pages that this arrow leads to, because users simply won't be able to see those pages. So the running line actually looks pretty nice overall. It feels dynamic and engaging with these little pictures. But here's the catch. Those little pictures on the sides don't follow the same visual consistency as the rest of the website. Everywhere else, cards, buttons, we see a corner radius being used. That rounded edge style gives the whole design a softer, cohesive look. Here though, the images are sharp-edged rectangles. A small detail, but it makes a big difference for the harmony and consistency. Now let's take a look at the subscription section. The subscription looks as if it is shy of users, so it's tucked away on the left edge of the page so that it will not be noticed. Because of that, there is a huge amount of negative space here, and instead of standing out, it just kind of hides in the corner. And that's a problem, because the newsletter sign-up is usually one of the primary conversion points on the site. It should feel inviting, central, and worth clicking. Right here, it almost feels like an afterthought. What would work better is giving it more visual weight. A bigger size, more balanced alignment, centered or spanning the width, and some design treatment that matches the rest of the site's strong visuals. That way, it attracts attention instead of slipping away into the margins. Let's move on. And here we go again, a carousel slider. There are pictures and some text below them, and there is a carousel indicator. But it doesn't matter whether this indicator is there or not, because this block still doesn't fit on my screen. I first have to scroll down to read the text, then scroll up to use the navigation. These are unnecessary movements that will definitely not encourage users to use your site. But we're still pretending that all people have a touchpad for scrolling. And this word flagship repeats under every card. This is a visual noise. This word does not play any role in this case, and if we remove it, nothing will change in the user experience, because the users already know that this is flagship, since there is a header here. And one header is enough for this. So if you can remove something and it doesn't influence the user experience, do it. With no hesitation. Our world is already oversaturated with visual noise, so don't make it worse for your users. And another thing I've noticed is that the title in the Autumn and Winter collection section up here is different from the one down here. These two blocks are basically the same type of section. They both have a header and content, but the headers don't match at all. One has a different font size, and the other even uses a different font weight. It just feels so inconsistent. When blocks look similar, people expect them to follow the same pattern. If the typography shifts around like this, the design feels somewhat messy and it disrupts the page's flow. Keeping headers consistent, same font, same size, same style, not only makes the site look cleaner and easier to scan, but it also saves a ton of time for the designer. When you have a clear, consistent pattern, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. You just apply the same rules everywhere. That means less confusion, fewer design decisions to second guess, and a smoother process overall. Plus, it makes life easier for developers too. If everything follows the system, they don't have to code dozens of random variations, which makes collaboration between a designer and developer much simpler and more efficient. And yes, good cooperation with developers is also a skill that needs to be developed and improved. And finally, let's bring in our last guest, the footer. There is a nice hover here. I think it would be good to move these elements, social media and links, a little to the right and align this element along the guideline from the top card. And maybe add the category links right here. Overall, the website has an interesting design with pleasant colors and a nice style. But I think there's definitely room for improvement, mainly around consistency and contrast. And a few blogs could use some redesigning to better match the overall style. That's it. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next one.